Sick of it all's Lou Koller has passed away at 59 after a long battle with esophageal cancer. Pivot. Before we get into his legacy, I want to share his bandmates' own words and a message Lou left for fans himself.
Lou Koller, co-founder and frontman of New York hardcore legend Sick of It All, has died at 59 after battling esophageal cancer. He was born in 1967, grew up in Queens in a regular middle-class home with three brothers. One of them, Pete, would go on to be his bandmate and guitarist for their entire run. The two started Sick of It All right there in Queens back in 1986, coming up in that same tight late 80s New York hardcore scene that gave us Agnostic Front, Crow Mags, Madball. This was a world built around CBGB, endless touring, and a fan base that spread almost entirely by word of mouth, where who you were off stage mattered just as much as what you did on it.
That line about the CBGB scene really gets at something important. This wasn't a genre built on image or marketing. It was built on people actually showing up night after night in the same rooms together. And the point about off-stage character mattering as much as on-stage performance is genuinely rare in music. A lot of scenes let you hide behind a persona. Hardcore, especially New York hardcore in that era, didn't really give you that option. People knew you personally, because you were all in the same room constantly. That's part of why this loss is hitting the way it is. This isn't a distant celebrity death for a lot of these fans. It's someone they may have actually stood next to at a show decades ago.
The band shared the news on Instagram this past Friday, July 24th, from Pete, drummer Armin Majidi, and bassist Craig Satari. They wrote, "It's with unbelievable sadness that we announce to our worldwide hardcore family the passing of our brother Lou Koller. The level of loss that we feel at this time is overwhelming, and it hits extra hard. 2026 would have been the band's 40th anniversary together. He didn't get to see that milestone." They went on to say it wasn't just his voice that made him loved, it was him. Through every decade, he never lost that heart, that drive, that energy. He had this way of lightening the mood at shows, making people smile no matter where they were, winning over crowds all over the world, no matter the place or the culture.
The detail about the 40th anniversary is the part that really gets me. 40 years is an enormous amount of time to build something with your own brother, and to miss that milestone by a matter of months is just genuinely painful timing. I also think it's worth noticing what his bandmates chose to highlight here, not just his voice, but his personality. His energy, his humor, the way he could shift a room's mood. Those are the things people actually remember about someone, long after the specifics of anyone's show fade.
Now for the music, because he left behind so much. Their first release was a self-titled 7-inch EP on Revelation Records in 1987, barely 10 minutes long, pressed in super small numbers back then. A lot of those songs got re-recorded for their first full-length, Blood, Sweat, and No Tears in 1989, and that record's still seen as one of the true landmarks of hardcore punk. From there, they built a catalog most bands in this genre can only dream of. Just look around in '92, then scratch the surface in '94 on East West. That was their biggest commercial moment. It gave us the title track and Step Down, which actually got played on MTV, something almost unheard of for a hardcore band back then. Reports say they leaned harder, darker on that record, partly pushing back against people claiming signing to a major meant they'd sold out. And it just kept coming. Built to Last in '97, which hit the Billboard Heatseekers chart, then Call to Arms, Life on the Ropes, Death to Tyrants, based on a true story, The Last Act of Defiance, and their most recent, Wake the Sleeping Dragon. In 2018, all in all, he sang lead on 12 full studio albums. By 2020, they'd moved at least 500,000 records worldwide. Huge numbers for a scene that's always prided itself on staying true, not chasing mainstream success. Lou always said their goal was to show people what they loved, not just stay inside the hardcore bubble. He explained in interviews they never wanted to only play with other hardcore bands. They wanted to take this sound everywhere. That mindset helped bring New York hardcore to fans all over, especially through years of constant touring across Europe.
12 full-length albums is a real career. That's not a band that had one big moment and coasted. That's 4 decades of consistently showing up and making records through a genre that historically doesn't reward staying power the way mainstream music does. And I love the detail about Step Down getting MTV rotation, specifically because of how rare that was for hardcore at the time. That's a real crossover moment, and it's interesting that the band's response to accusations of selling out was to lean harder and heavier rather than soften anything. That tells you something about how seriously this scene takes authenticity. Even commercial success got scrutinized for whether it compromised the sound.
You can even see that journey on film. Back in 2001, there was a documentary following them from those earliest days up through their unlikely rise. About what he went through, this wasn't a quick fight. He'd already beaten esophageal cancer once before. Then it came back. Reports say the recurrence hit roughly 2 years ago, so he lived with it, fought it, for a long stretch, not just a short final time. He never hid it from fans either. He put out a video telling people straight up he looked thinner. He was having trouble keeping food down and gaining weight. Scans confirmed it was back. He said he'd take it one day at a time, thanked everyone, and signed off simply, "I'll see you soon." He was open with family too. A few months back, Pete said on a podcast how hard it was. Lou was staying with their brother Matt and his wife Connie. Pete called them absolute saints for all they did.
This is the part of the story I think deserves the most respect, honestly. He didn't disappear from public view when things got hard. He chose to keep talking to fans directly, describing his own physical decline, being upfront about the recurrence rather than letting rumors fill that space instead. That takes something. A lot of people, understandably, would rather keep something like that private. Choosing transparency, especially with a global fan base watching, is its own kind of generosity, and I think it's part of why the response to his death has been so personal for so many people. They weren't kept at a distance from what he was going through.
In their statement, the band also thanked every single person who donated to his medical fund. They said that love helped him feel supported through it all. They closed by saying his fight was over now. He could finally rest, and hoping everyone would keep feeling the good he put out into the world. Just to be clear on what we know right now, his passing, the cause, his age, the band's statement, and the full timeline of his career are all confirmed. Anything about memorials, tribute shows, or words from other artists, nothing official's been released yet. That's still unfolding.
His fight was over now and he could finally rest. That's such a specific, gentle way for a band to close out something this heavy. It's not dramatic, it's not trying to manufacture more emotion than the moment already has. It just says what it needs to say, and I think it's the right call to be honest that we don't have details yet on memorials or tribute shows. There's no need to speculate or fill that silence with guesses. When there's more to share, it'll come from the people who actually knew him.
On screen, keep it quiet and respectful. Archival clips of him performing through the years, album covers in order to show that whole run, a photo of the 4 members together, the band's statement up so people can read it in their own words, and simple title cards with his name and dates. At the end of the day, Lou Koller spent nearly 40 years as one of the voices that defined New York hardcore. He made 12 albums with the brother he started it all with. He was honest with fans when things got hardest. And he leaves behind not just music, but a community he held together with kindness and heart for decades. Let me know what you think. A, his music and legacy will never fade. B, this feels like the end of an era for the whole scene. C, we'll really feel his absence when tour season comes around. D, the best tribute is just putting on his records and shouting along.
Lou Koller spent nearly 40 years as one of the defining voices of New York hardcore, made 12 albums with the brother he built it all with, and stayed honest with his fans through the hardest parts of his life. That's a real legacy, and it's one that clearly extends well beyond just the music itself. So I want to hear from you. How are you sitting with this one? A, his music and legacy will never fade. B, this feels like the end of an era for the whole scene. C, we'll really feel his absence when tour season comes around. D, the best tribute is just putting on his records and shouting along. Let me know in the comments, and if you want to share a memory of seeing Sick of It All live or what his music meant to you, this is the place for it. Rest easy, Lou.